This conference will now be
Immediate.
recorded.
Let's get time. Okay, so our call is being recorded now. So we have start time now. We'll create another variable here. And then we must another variable here called end time, time elapsed. And we can now do end time minus start time. Then we can now have another header here. You can say response dot set header. Add the header, call it time elapsed, and just send that. Then yeah, then if we make a request to this, we start our server, make a request. Yes, I have another question here. We can make a post request from the browser, but you do that through JavaScript in the browser, not through the URL bar on the browser. I can't do that there. So let's try this again. I don't think I'm going to use a different tool so that we can see the headers. So bear with me one moment. I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll still share my screen, but I'll just simply add something. Can you see my screen? Okay, so I'm going to use Postman. Postman is a HTTP client, and I'm going to use Postman to make a request to our server, which is running at 3310/employees. We are going to make a request. So in the headers, it's telling us. So you can see this that header that we created in the code here, time elapsed. So we calculated how much time it took to create to essentially receive a response, and it took us 2 milliseconds. Let's actually change this since we are getting back text, plain text. Yes, I think not. Let's make this. Uh, yeah, let's start our server, and then we'll make another request here. So essentially, what we have done now is we have loaded a file, a static file. So this is, in essence, this is what we just learned how to load a static asset. This is a static asset. The text file is a static asset. We've loaded that, and we have showed that we have displayed that information from that static asset in our response. Okay, let's see if somebody else had another question. How did we split the terminal? Okay, Temitayo, I hope this example like explained the importance of the set header method to you. Oh, Temita, did that help? So I said this example where we use the set header, I hope does that explain why we use the set header? Why the set header method is important? Okay. So the next question we had was how do I split the terminal? So if you look at the user interface for, let me close the terminal first. If you look at the user interface for VS Code, when you open the terminal, at the top here, you see three icons. This allows you to add a new terminal. This allows you to split the existing terminal into a new one, and this allows you to kill the current terminal. So that's how you can split it. Okay. The next question from Toby. Anytime I reload my server, it gives an error. Yeah, I have to change the port number for it to work again. So to completely when you want to reload your server, so there are ways you can do it that listens to code when you make, so changes when you make your code and automatically restarts it for you. But we haven't gotten there yet. So the simple way to do this is to do, if you're on Windows, you do Control C. Whether you're on Windows or Linux, it should always work. You do a Control C, that will kill the server process. Then if you run it again, it starts it up. So the problem is when you try and if you don't kill the process, the node process that is giving you your server, if you don't kill it properly, if you try and run it again, then essentially you're going to have an error because you're essentially starting a new server process that is going to be using the same ports. So there's a connectivity clash there. So that's why you're getting that error. Okay, so the body parser, so like I mentioned, middle when we last in our class on Saturday, we were talking about middlewares, and body parser is simply a middleware. It's an open source middleware, and what it does is it takes away the need for you to write complex rules to handle all the different types of HTTP request bodies that might come to your server. So you can never. The thing is that you can't always. You can write like you can write your request handler to intercept many many requests type requests with different content types. But the thing is that you might never be able to account for all of them. So it's better to use a package that a lot of people have contributed to help you handle the different types of request bodies. So the body parser module is not like it's not native to Node.js. It's a third party module that a group of contributors have written and we are all using today. So if you're using a framework like Express to write servers, that will have to be built in. So that's also something that we'll briefly touch on using Express to build servers. I didn't want us to use Express at first, but eventually in our project we're going to be using Express. But why I didn't want that is I wanted us to understand how HTTP servers are written in reality before using a framework to hide away a lot of the steps that we are doing here. So in our request handler now that we have written, we are like I mentioned in the last class, we're already doing things like routing. The fact that we've written conditional statements that's giving particular methods, request methods and URLs, we are going to handle the request differently. So that we're already doing route handling, which is one of the fundamentals for a web framework in Node.js. All right, so I think we've covered a lot now. So we're going to take it up a notch and we're going to talk about using Express.js in conjunction. We're also going to be looking at loading static assets, also using Express.js. So I'm going to queue our current server, and I'm going to clean out some of this code that we have written, because we'll be writing new code. And I already have this code shared as a gist with all of us. Okay, so we're going to change this. So first things first, in order to use Express, we're going to install the Express project. So we do that by doing npm. So we're also going to learn in the process of this, we're going to see package management. So to install Express, we want Express as a dependency for our project. So we're going to say Express install Express, and we are going to save. By adding the save flag, we are telling npm to install this module for us as a dependency, as a core dependency for our application. As you can see now, it has automatically updated the dependency file. I hope everybody saw that. Okay, so now we have Express installed, and we're now going to use Express to rebuild our simple server that we wrote. So let's get started. So first things first, we are going to require Express. Now we need to start building our Express app. So we'll call it app, and we'll simply create a new instance of Express. So what we're going to do next, we're going to let's define a port so that our app is going to run. We'll call it 3310. So in reality, what Express really is just a collection of middlewares or a collection of request handlers. So middlewares are just request handlers that have been modified and have a next function that allows us to move from one middleware to the other. As part of this example, I'm going to showcase I'm going to showcase how middlewares work as well, so that we get an all-encompassing idea of what a middleware is. Okay, so now I'm going to start our server by listening to it. So we're going to add our ports here, and we're going to add our simple callback. If there's an error, we'll handle it. So I'm going to do if error console.log error. Otherwise, we're going to log to our console. We have an Express powered server running on. Okay, so we're going to test this now. I'm saying node index. And we can see it's running. So right now we don't have any request handler. So let's change that. So this is where it gets interesting. So with Express allows us to do things like this, which makes it very simple. So now what we have just done is that we are telling our Express server that anytime somebody makes a request to, say, let's add the employees part, this is how I want this request to be handled. So I need to pass a request and a response, and we're going to handle that response there. So we're going to simply say response dot send. So this is, like I said, this is why using a framework like Express is the most popular framework, one of the most popular frameworks for Node.js, building servers in Node.js. I use Express every day at work, and I've built a lot of stuff using Express, and we will still continue to build stuff with Express. So it's very important that everybody knows about it. Please, can you guys excuse me for 1 minute? I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that breaking transmission. So yes, like I was saying, using a framework like Express allows you to abstract away a lot of stuff where you'd have written a ton of code to achieve. So for example, now we're able to write handlers using simple helper functions here, and we don't have to do all those complex conditionals that we're writing. So for example, now we can simply send back. We can do the same thing we were doing before. Uh, let's say we're sending back an array of employees as JSON. We can do that same thing here. Uh, let's see. Okay. So if we restart the server and use our postman, for example, now and make that request, we get a JSON array of employees. And if we look at the headers, we can see some new things here. So we have a new header that was set by the Express framework on its own, telling us that this server is powered by Express. And we can also see that the content type was automatically set. We didn't have to set it by ourselves. And some other important information here. Talks about the content length, the e tag. Yeah, so you'll probably find out. I think there was a material I sent to you guys talking about HTTP on I think it was on Mozilla's website. So that should also cover headers like this. All right, so essentially we've rewritten our server that took us almost 40-50 lines of code in our request handler in 20 something lines of code here. So what we're doing, where we're saying if request.method is get and URL is equal to employees, we have achieved that simple conditional using this block inside Express. So far, is everybody following this example? Is anybody lost? All right, so let's move on. So now we're going to talk about the body parser like Owantel was asking about. So let's make some modifications now. So we're going to do something different now. We're going to take inputs now from the request using post. So now I'm going to use a post method now. So first things first, I want to add some middleware. So to add middleware, I simply use the use method to tell Express that you should use this middleware or this request handler. So I'm going to say, and the cool thing about Express is that it has some of these things built in. So I can now do something like this. So this automatically means that Express is going to handle any request that comes in that uses JSON. Then we are going to add another one for URL encoded. Let me quickly show off the options that can be passed to this. Sorry. Yes, this is what I need. Yeah, extended. Yes, I'll definitely show you guys how to use Postman. So now we're going to create a, a handler that is going to receive requests from a request to this route that we have specified now, to this path on our server, and we are going to use that to output something. So let's do that now. So let's say that when you want to add a new employee to your database, we need an employee's name, first name, last name. So let's do this: first name, last name. We need their date of birth and their gender and their designation. Okay. So we're going to take this information and we're just simply going to return it back to the client. So we're just going to do simple destructuring and use the same values as a shortcut back. So yeah, we just have a simple method handler. So now we can restart the server, and now we're going to make a post request. So yeah, so let's quickly look at Postman. So Postman is a HTTP client that allows you to make HTTP requests to different servers or APIs. So here you have your URL bar, just like in your browser. Then on the right left of it, you can specify the method. So like I was telling you the other day, there are a lot of, you can see here, there are a lot of HTTP methods, HTTP request methods. Like the commonly used ones are the ones that are here, the top 5 ones: get, post, put, patch, delete. Then you have your params tab here that allows you to add URL parameters. So if I say URL and I add the value now, so it's adding this is a URL parameter, this is a URL query parameter, this is the parameter, this is the value. So this indicates, when you add this to the URL, this indicates that this is a URL query parameter. So let's turn that off for now. So you have authorization. This is when you are dealing with, when you are doing things like authentication. Those type of headers will typically come here. Then if you have custom headers, you can add them here. So let's say we wanted our own custom header that says X name, and we'll put our name here. So that header will be sent in the request. Then you have the body. So this actually allows you to send the actual body of the request. So there are different ways to send the body of a request. You can use form data. This will treat your you know what, I'll actually walk us through different examples. So let's just start with what we are going to be using most of the time, which is JSON. You can send the request as JSON. So that means we'll construct a JSON body here. So I'm making a post request to our server right now. And our example says that we need to send a first name, last name, gender, and designation. Okay. Then if you make that request, we are missing one field. So let's look at the code. So maybe it might be our naming. So let's go back here. Yes, it was our spelling. So we can now put the date of DOB here. That's one field we're missing. You can say 2019 03 21. And if we set that, so essentially we have just used Express to handle a post request. Now let's take things a little further. Let's load static assets. So I'm going to create a folder and call it uh, call it a public folder because we want everything in this folder to be accessible to people in the public. And we're going to add a let's add a file called names names.txt, and we just put names, or let's just put random text there. We just put a random set of text there. So in order to do that, we simply with Express now we have to do is just add a simple middleware that says anytime we get somebody that tries to access the forward slash, let us save them a public folder. Not sure. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to also introduce something new here. I'm going to use the paths module because I want to be able to. So what I just did was to make sure. So using the join method from the paths module. What I just did was by specific. This is a special keyword within Node.js, dir name. So this gives you the current directory that you're working out from. So basically what I've just done is I've combined the directory I'm working out on plus my public folder here to give me a path that Node.js will understand regardless of whatever operating system I'm running on. So if I close the server now and run it again, then I go to my browser, or I just use coil here and say coil http localhost 3010 3310 and say /names.txt. Express has allowed me to load the static assets without writing long code. So this is one of the benefit of using a framework or library overwriting the codes by your hand. So I mean, there's something I also want us to quickly understand is using a framework is good, but being able to understand what the framework is doing for you is very important. So as much as we use frameworks to make our lives better and allow us meet those deadlines faster and just be generally more productive, it is very important that we all learn the basics, like how to use Node.js to achieve certain things. Because sometimes you might be constrained when you're working in certain environments. You might be constrained for security purposes. Your employer might require that you should not use external third-party modules within their code base because they have some legal requirement to meet that doesn't permit them to use code from that other people have written, or there might be a licensing issue with the code that you want to use. Maybe the license prohibits you from using their open source code in a commercial setting where you are going to earn money while using their code. So those type of scenarios might come up. So and plus for your own learning benefits, it's also very important to learn how to use Node.js to achieve some things before using third-party libraries. But so far, what does everybody think? What do you guys think about Express? Pretty nice, right? Okay. So you guys can just keep looking over this code. I'll just be 1 minute. All right, it's okay. I'm glad everybody's enjoying this. So we've looked at loading static assets. We've looked at kind of creating an API by using the parts. We have seen how Express makes it simple. So the next thing we're going to learn about now is middleware. Actually, we have learned about middleware, but we're actually going to see it in action. So we're going to write a middleware that's going to log the details of the request as it's coming into our code. We're going to have a middleware that's going to attach. No, let's write a middleware that calculates the time. Okay, let's just do one that uses that logs how much time it takes that just logs the request for us rather. So we're going to write a middleware now. So we're going to say request response next. This is a middleware. And all our middleware is doing is just logging. So let's see. So request dot URL. Let's log the method first. And we log. Let's add something to log the time. Let's log when the request came in. Let's use an ISO string. And once we are done that, we'll just say next. So the next handler will run. Then if we close and we run our server again, then we make the same request. Okay, something strange is happening. Okay, I think there was a syntax error here. Let's try that again. Interesting. For some reason, our middleware is not getting picked up here. Okay. Let's try making the request from Postman and see if that makes a difference. Yes. So the problem was that the request I was making was is the static file. So Express handles that. So this was where I was hitting this handler, this middleware rather. So if I make another request now, we can see that. So let's actually add another middleware. This time we want this one to help us measure how much time our request took. So we're not going to modify the request body, it's the request itself, and pass this. I want to web zone next. Then inside here, let's see. Let's make some modifications here. Let's say employee is equal to that. Then our JSON, we're going to do something else. We're going to say we're going to return our employee. Then another thing we're going to add now is let's create another variable here. Call it end time. Oh no, let's just leave it. Let's just demonstrate something else. So we call this start time. And where do we get this value? From the request. So if we close this and run this again, oh, we have an error. Let me just let's use this syntax to be safe. So we have a problem now. Let's see, which is coming from Express. Not quite sure why this is not working. Okay, let's just use a simple example. Let's just modify, add a new. Okay, let's do this. We're going to use the headers to add something to the request. So we're going to say user ID. Let's say a user ID. And we're going to get the user ID from the headers. So we're going to do request dot headers. I will take a header called X user. And we're going to attach that to as our user, and just simply pass that here. Then in our code here, just going to say created by request dot user, which is strange. Okay, sorry, I think I found the problem. We're not really add the use. Okay, so everything works now. So if we make a post request from Postman here, and come back here. Okay, we need to add the header. So let's say X, we call it X user. We just need to say Patrick as the value. So if I send that request, you can see it now. Let's actually add another middleware. So essentially, are you seeing what is happening? So the middlewares are getting executed in the order in which they were added. Can everybody see that? Do we understand that? Are we all following? Okay, we have a question. How do you determine the parameters for middleware? So to create a middleware is, like I said in our class on Sunday, middleware is just a function that takes three parameters: a request, a response, and the next function. The next is just a callback that simply allows us to pass whatever results that we have in our middleware to the next middleware. No, they are not keywords. You can actually name them anything, but the type that gets passed to them is always the standard. Is the request object and the response object. So if I actually switch this out and say if I said I want to make this underscore request and underscore response, I can easily change this here and restart my server. Okay, actually, sorry, I didn't change this here. Why run this? Why is it complaining? Well, okay, sorry, we still have this here. So yeah, so they are not keywords, they are just variables that store a reference to the request or response object, as the case may be. So I think we've made a lot of progress today. So we're going to go back to loading again. 1 minute, please. I'm just going to no, I'm going to just show us how we are going to know what. Let's load the static asset. Let's load the HTML page. Let's do that. So just okay. Let's get rid of all this code that we have written here. We don't need it anymore. We just use this to showcase some things. So now we're going to do something different. So I need to see anytime somebody hits our server, we want to load our website. So we simply say respond.send file, and we want to send so we're going to create our HTML file here. Just do HTML, call it my web page, and let's put one big say hello world. Okay, and voila, we have created a new server that allows us to save our website. So if we go to the browser now and we just do localhost 3310, did everybody see that? Okay, so now let's take it a step further. Let's add another static asset. Let's add a CSS file. Let's call it index.css. I know we're going to do. I just need to style our h1 tag, give it a color of red, and align it to the center. Give it a font size of say, let's see, 50 pixels. Okay. So now I want to load. I'm going to load our style sheet here. So we're going to do link. I'm not sure how this works again. I haven't written regular HTML in a long time. Can anybody help me with this? How do we do import style sheets? Okay, I think there's a way to even do it here. So yeah, figured it out. So I'm simply going to do index.css. And the magic of Express is going to help us here to load that file. If we go back to our browser and refresh, it has loaded our static assets for us. Whereas if we wrote our server by hand, we'd have to write a conditional, or we have to write our own middleware system like Express has already done, that allows us to handle requests for static files differently from routes. Any questions so far? Are we enjoying Express? Express is here to make your life easy. And also make your life difficult if you're not sure what you're doing. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, already we can see an error here in our console, and our server is telling us that we should not be using a relative path to our file. We should use an absolute path. So we are going to fix it by simply using the same thing we used here. So we simply say path dot join, use the dir name. So we start our server and run, refresh our page. No more error. Okay, let's actually take this one step further. Let's add an image. Let's go to Google Images and download an image. Let's say cats. Oh, this is fine. This is a nice cat. Please, I do not like cats. Just so everybody knows, they're just the easiest things to find on the internet. So I need to save that cat. I repeat, I do not like cats. I'm going to copy that file I just downloaded. That picture of that despicable looking cat. Okay, so we have the image here, so I'm just going to rename it. The cat looks like it's up to no good. Don't you think so? So I'm just going to add an image here. Let's see. Image, and let's see /cat dot jpeg. Alternatively, we say a cat. Okay, so you don't even have to do anything. You don't have to even restart this server, because all it's doing is just going to save us. It's going to load that file anytime we make a request. If I refresh, we'll get this cat. So let's test that out again. So let's make some modification. Let's take our image and let's give it a width of 600 pixels. And give it a let's see, give it a margin of let's 0 auto, say 32 pixels. I'm just trying to attempting to align the cat to picture central. Oh, it doesn't work. So now we're doing Node.js. Now we're writing HTML and CSS. Let's fix that. Let's call this image ID, the ID of, sorry, image IFG holder. Take this out. ING holder. Give it the width 600 pixels. Margin of 50 pixels. Auto. Let me just add the style the image inside the. Just say the width. Take 100%. And height should be automatic. Just also give it a margin so it's just centralized. Maybe we add some padding of 10 pixels all around. And this, the server just saves us the latest version of the file. And last, we have built an Express server to serve our web pages. I think we have made like some solid progress today. We've looked at middlewares, looked at loading static assets, we looked at writing the server with Express. So far, so good. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns? Is there anything anybody wants us to show them? So I think we've just learned a pretty or something. We've taken those the large code base we had to build the server and use Express to essentially write very minimal code and achieve the same results in a more predictable manner. Well, class is relatively quiet, so I think it's safe to assume that everybody has gotten up to speed with everything we've learned today. Because I'm also learning too. And just so we are clear, in case anybody sees me on the road tomorrow, I do not like cats. Like I said, cats are just the easiest thing to find on the internet. The picture of a cat is the easiest thing to find on the internet because people of the internet like cats a lot. Okay, so yeah, how do we make use of third-party modules? We already started using one by installing the third-party module. So we're using Express. Express is a third-party module. So okay, let's actually look at package management for a bit here. So let's go to the home base of Node.js packages, npm.js. So here you can see packages that do a ton of work for us. So look at, these are the most popular ones now: Lodash, Request. So Lodash is like a utility library for arrays and different things. Then you have Request. Request is a library for making HTTP requests to other servers from Node, so you don't have to write plenty code as well. I'm not sure what Chalk is. React, everybody knows React now. Express, everybody knows Express. Commander is a third-party module for building a command line applications with Node.js. Moment.js is another one for handling dates. So let's actually build something with Moment. So Moment is a datetime library. So we're going to install Moment now. Just before we end the class, let's use Moment and do some work. Install Moment, and we need to save this. Okay, so what are we going to do in a moment? We are going to write a simple API that takes a date and converts it to its unique timestamp. So let's do that. Let's add a handler. Let's call it convert post convert request response. So what our module is doing, our request is going to do is take an input. So let's just take input from the request body, and we are now going to convert that. So let's import our Moment library, our Moment third-party library. Moment, we're going to require Moment. So first things first, we're going to check whether the input is a valid date. So I'm going to use Moment to test that and see it's valid. Let's see. Pass the date input to here, and whether the value is valid. So if it is valid, we'll return a response. Otherwise, we'll say respond with a message. Say just I'll say a message that your input is invalid. So if it's valid, then we're going to respond with another message that says let's see, moment.input. I'm going to get the Unix value to, yeah, I think to, let's see, Unix here. Sorry. Okay, so if we run our server now, okay, so we'll now make an API, a post request rather, not an API request. Technically it is. And say this is our input, and we send it to our endpoint. Okay, so we have a problem now. So because we have this route now, and it's going to attempt to override whatever I do. So we're just going to remove it for now. To remove it for now, restart the server, make our request again. So essentially, we have just used the third-party module to convert a date in the text format to the Unix representation of that date. That is a unique timestamp. Did you understand what we just did? I'm just going to go over it again. So we imported the third-party module by requiring it here. Then we created a new path handler to handle any request that post request that comes to the /convert path. Then we took the input from the request body, and we use this third-party library that we installed here to validate that the input is a valid date, and if it was valid, we converted that to Unix and we sent that back. Then there was an error. We sent the message saying that it was an error. So let me add something else. So we can now actually set the status. Let's say this is a bad request because the input is invalid. So now I'm going to make that request again, but this time I'm going to pass an invalid date. I'm just going to pass a random string here. And you can see the status code here, 400. And 400 translates to bad request. Okay, so yeah, let's go back to npm. So the thing about third-party modules is that most of the time they are not the documentation is not always very clear. So that's also a hallmark of a very good library when documentation is very clear to you. So let's go through it. They don't have anything here, so probably documentation is on their GitHub page or their own personal website. In this case, it's on their own personal website. So here they're telling us this is how you install it. This is how you use it. You require it. This is an example usage. Okay, so let's see if we can find an example again. Documentation. So the documentation that says instead of modifying that, you can read through this. So this is how you use this. So we have imported it now. And the documentation says now to get this gives you the current date and time. So get the current date and time, just call moment with no parameters. At the same time, I'm not telling you that you can also use the same moment function here and pass a string to it. That's what we are doing in our example here. We're using that to convert to Unix. So most of the time, to some of these third-party modules, your editor will also infer the methods that are available to it. So let me show you an example now. So let's say we wanted we're not taking inputs from, let's change this and say current. And what we wanted was anytime somebody makes a request, we just want to give them the current time. So according to that documentation, they say if we call moments to give us the current time. So let's test that out. So we can see that as giving us the current time in JSON format. So we wanted it in say ISO. So we can say if you just hit the dot button, the dot key here, You can see all the available methods and properties of that. So let's say we wanted it in this. We close this, run it again, and make a request. You can see that the format has changed. So we wanted to try something else. The string. You can see that it's different now. So let's take it a step further. Let's try another available. So we have most of the time code is self-documenting. Say we wanted to get the current time just in, let's see, each hour, minutes, and second. Yeah, I hope this is correct. I will use moments. Wow. So you can see the time there. So change the format here again. I update this. See if I also changed. So the key thing to understanding the documentation is always to look for examples on how the code was used. Kamita, I hope that helps you. All right. Does any other person have a question, comment, concern, observation? I think at this point it's really important for everybody to just go back and practice some of this. So I think this is a good point to end class for today. And like I always say, the way to get better at writing code and building things is by building. It's by actually doing the building. Learning by doing. So I've done my part. I've impacted some knowledge, and it's up to you now to go and put this in practice. You will also get, after your class next week, I would also send across an assignment that is going to feed back into your project that you're already building, your time off app. So yeah. So after that class, and combined with this, you're going to have a foundation to build out the backend functionality for the basics of the backend functionality for your time off app. I hope everybody had a good time today, and I'll be seeing you very soon. I'm not sure what week we are seeing, but I'm sure I'm going to be seeing you in next month. Thank you everybody for coming out, and please don't forget to practice. All right. Okay. Night, everybody.